Have you ever noticed how some places in your mind feel heavier than others? They aren't on any map, yet they shape everything. They live in how we arrange our days, in the quiet patterns we build around ourselves. These spaces feel more real than physical locations because they touch the core of who we are. Many of us wander through them for years, feeling tired or hollow, blaming ourselves. But what if the problem isn't you? What if you're just living in the wrong inner neighborhood? Let me share with you 7 such places that quietly dim your true nature. Not through force, but through forgetting, making you abandon your own essence, convincing you the surface matters more than the depth. The first is what I call the Hall of Mirrors. Here, everyone around you reflects only what you already think. Every conversation confirms your beliefs. Every fear gets echoed back. You might find this comfortable, even pleasant. That's precisely why it's dangerous. The mind isn't meant to live in perfect agreement. It needs to be stretched, tested. When you only hear your own thoughts repeated, your mind doesn't grow stronger. It becomes rigid, brittle. I knew someone who spent years with people who shared all his views, politics, life, everything. He thought it was wisdom, but slowly his ability to think shrank. His world grew smaller, more fearful. In the Hall of Mirrors, new ideas feel like attacks. Different perspectives seem like betrayal. You cling tighter to what you know, demanding only familiar reflections. But here's what happens: you stop thinking. You just repeat. You don't grow, you harden. The way out is simple, though not easy. Seek out voices that disturb you. Not to argue, but to feel your mind stretch, to remember what it's like to wonder, to question even what you hold dear. The second place is the arena of comparison. Here, you measure your worth against others' achievements, status, possessions. Nothing ever feels enough because someone always has more. This arena disguises itself as motivation. We tell ourselves comparing will inspire improvement, but watch what actually happens. You don't feel inspired, you feel exhausted. Every success feels hollow next to someone else's. I recall a woman who got a promotion she'd worked years for. Instead of joy, she thought only of a colleague who got a higher position. Her accomplishment meant nothing compared to another's. See the trap? She gave away her power to feel satisfied. The arena treats life like a race with one finish line, as if all lives can be ranked. But this is nonsense. Your life isn't comparable to anyone else's. You're on your own path, playing your own game. When you live here, you chase recognition, not joy. You perform for an imaginary audience, keeping score instead of living. To escape, you must stop measuring altogether. Do things simply because they delight you, like a child playing without keeping score, creating without needing applause. The third place is the theater of masks. Here, authenticity is punished, performance is rewarded. You show only what's acceptable, impressive, useful. The rest gets hidden behind a facade. We all wear masks sometimes. That's natural. But in this theater, the mask becomes so thick you forget the face beneath. I knew a man who worked where showing weakness meant career death. He laughed at unfunny jokes, agreed with opposed ideas, hid anything that didn't fit. After years, he no longer knew who he really was. The mask became his only identity. This place doesn't just hide you, it erases you slowly until you reach inside and find nothing. You become a hollow performance, a costume with no one inside. It's exhausting. Every interaction requires calculation: what to say, what to hide, how to appear. You come home drained from the effort of being someone you're not. And the cruel joke: the connection and belonging you seek can only come through authenticity. Performance creates the isolation it tries to avoid. You're surrounded by people who don't know you, in empty relationships, receiving approval that means nothing because it's not for the real you. To leave, you need courage. Start taking off the mask carefully. Some will leave, those who preferred your performance. But that's not loss, it's liberation. Those who stay will know the real you. The fourth place is the room of silence. Not the good silence where wisdom grows, but the toxic kind where pain is buried, needs denied, truth unspoken. Many grow up in families like this. Everything looks fine on the surface. no screaming, no dysfunction. But beneath, everyone suffocates quietly. Feelings aren't expressed, problems aren't addressed, needs are swallowed. The rule is don't rock the boat. Here, you learn that having needs is selfish, expressing pain is weakness. Peace means never being honest about what hurts. You become skilled at suffering quietly, pretending all is fine, thinking numbness is peace. But what happens? Emotional needs don't disappear when ignored. They accumulate in your body, creating unexplained anxiety, depression from nowhere. You feel lonely even with family because no one truly sees you. Everyone dances around each other's pain. I knew a family proud of never fighting. They thought it meant closeness, but individually, each felt desperately alone. The mother was depressed but silent, the father overwhelmed but had no one to tell. The children learned their feelings, disrupted the perfect image. This room teaches you to cope with pain, not heal it. You ask, how can I tolerate this? Instead of, what's actually wrong? You manage discomfort without resolution. To escape, break the silence gently but firmly. Say out loud what's hidden. I'm hurting. I need help. This isn't working. Risk false peace for real connection. The system will resist. Silence comforts those fearing honesty. But your liberation is worth the discomfort. The fifth place is the storm of noise, the opposite of toxic silence. Here, you're bombarded with information. Stimulation demands distractions. Every quiet moment gets filled because stillness feels unbearable. This sounds like modern life, and it is, but this place existed long before. It's anywhere you use external noise to avoid internal truth, reading obsessively to avoid marital issues, staying busy socially to escape yourself, filling your mind with others' problems to avoid your own. The storm feels productive. You're informed, engaged, busy. But watch your mind here. You consume lots but retain little. You have opinions but no deep understanding. You're exhausted from mental activity but accomplish nothing. I knew a man who read 3 papers daily, discussed current events nightly. He prided himself on being informed. But when asked what wisdom he'd gained, he had nothing. He filled his mind with noise to avoid the silence where real thinking happens. The storm keeps you reacting, always responding to the latest crisis, outrage. No time for contemplation, for experiences to settle into understanding. Without that, nothing becomes part of you. It just passes through, leaving you full yet empty. To leave, turn off the noise and sit with what arises. At first, anxiety floods in. All you've avoided rushes surface. This is why you kept the noise. But if you stay with the discomfort, your mind clears. Thoughts become your own again. You hear that quiet inner voice the storm drowned out. The sixth place is the chamber of self-betrayal. Here, you gradually abandon your truth, needs, instincts. It happens so slowly you don't notice. You say yes when inside screams no. You stay in draining situations because leaving feels hard. You choose what's expected over what's authentic, safe over true. In this chamber, you become skilled at ignoring yourself. Someone asks what you want, and you don't know because you've long considered only others' wants, what's practical, what avoids conflict. Your gut instincts, once clear, become faint whispers you disregard. I knew a woman who spent 29 years in a career she didn't care about, married to a man she didn't love, in a city that depressed her. When asked why, she said it made sense. Family approved, job secure, marriage stable. She built her life on what seemed reasonable to others, ignoring what felt right to her. This chamber convinces you that maturity means ignoring desires, responsibility means betraying truth, being good means abandoning yourself. You make small compromises until you wake up living someone else's life. Society often rewards this. You're called mature for ignoring needs, responsible for sacrificing happiness, selfless for putting others first. But this isn't virtue, it's slow spiritual death. You can't love others authentically while betraying yourself. You can't give from an empty well. To escape, check in with yourself again. What do I actually want? How does this feel? What is my truth? Then, make choices based on these answers. Some will be disappointed, but your life belongs to you, not their expectations. The seventh and most dangerous place is the basement of shadows. Here, you lock away parts of yourself you're afraid or ashamed to face, painful memories, shameful thoughts, unacceptable qualities. You might think this is a good strategy, push down the bad, focus on the good. But what happens? What you bury doesn't stay buried. It grows stronger in darkness, influencing you in ways you don't understand. You overreact to small things, sabotage success, repeat patterns, and can't figure out why. The real cause is locked in the basement. I knew a man who despised his father's anger. He swore never to be like that, prided himself on being calm. But when he had children, he found himself raging over tiny things. He'd locked his anger away, thinking it gone, but it gathered strength until it burst out as he feared. The basement doesn't just hold what you fear, it also holds power, creativity, vitality. That buried anger might become passionate advocacy once faced. That sadness might become deep empathy. That shame might become compassion for others. To leave, you must descend, not avoid, but go down with the light and see what's there. Not to judge or fight, but to acknowledge, yes, this is also part of me. In that acknowledgement, the shadow loses power to control you unconsciously. You become whole, integrated, no longer at war with yourself. So here we are, 7 places that dim your true self, the hall of mirrors that makes you rigid, the arena of comparison that empties achievements, the theater of masks that erases your face, the room of silence that buries truth, the storm of noise that drowns your voice, the chamber of self-betrayal where you abandon yourself, and the basement of shadows where you hide from wholeness. Recognizing these is only the start. How do you leave? How reclaim yourself? The answer is simple yet challenging. Become conscious. Look honestly at where you are psychologically. Which places do you inhabit daily? Then begin to leave, not all at once, but deliberately. Limit time in toxic environments. Set boundaries with those demanding masks. Create space for silence where your inner voice speaks. Make small choices based on your truth, not others' expectations. Start integrating what you've hidden. This won't make you popular. Those comfortable in these places may feel threatened. They might call you selfish for boundaries, weird for authenticity, antisocial for silence, irresponsible for following your truth. Let them. Your freedom is worth their discomfort. On the other side, you'll discover not just feeling better, but becoming different. Relationships deepen with truth. Work gains meaning from your authentic self. Your mind clears without noise and comparison. You feel alive again because you've stopped abandoning yourself. Most importantly, you give others permission to leave too. When you stop toxic patterns, you create openings for escape. Your family might start speaking truth. Friends might remove masks. Work might become more human. Not because you preached, but because you showed another way is possible. These places persist because we collectively agree to inhabit them. But when enough choose freedom, the whole system shifts. One person's liberation creates ripples beyond what you see. So ask yourself now, which places have you called home? Where do you spend your psychological energy? What would it take to leave? The beautiful truth is, you're not stuck. These places have no walls except those you believe in. The hall of mirrors. Walk toward a different voice. The arena. Stop keeping score. The theater. Remove the mask. The room of silence. Speak your truth. The storm. Turn it off. The chamber. Choose yourself. The basement. Descend with curiosity, not fear. Your true self isn't destroyed. It's buried under layers of accommodation, performance, fear. But it's still there, waiting for you to remember who you are beneath all costumes and compromises. The meaning of life isn't to navigate these places successfully. It's to recognize them, leave them, and discover what remains when you stop defending, performing, hiding. What remains is you, the real you, always there watching, waiting, ready to live again. When you find that self, you'll wonder how you ever mistook these prisons for homes. You'll see freedom was always available, one honest choice away. The door was never locked, you were just afraid to open it. Now you know, the 7 dangerous places exist, yes. But so does the way out. It begins with seeing where you are, admitting it honestly, taking one small step toward truth. Not tomorrow but now. always now. This is your invitation, not to perfection, but to coming home to yourself, living from your center instead of fear, playing your own music instead of others' tunes. These places will always offer false comforts, familiar prisons. But you don't have to accept. You can choose differently. Walk out of the hall into genuine conversation. Leave the arena for what brings joy. Remove the mask and risk being seen. Break the silence, speak your truth. Turn off the noise, listen to yourself. Stop betraying yourself, honor your knowing. Descend into the basement, integrate your shadows. This isn't easy work, but it's the only work that matters. What good is a life spent in these places? What's the point of surviving if you've lost yourself? Your true self calls, not from some future, but from here, now, beneath all protection and performance. It's been waiting for you to remember, to come home. The question is, will you